I think very important projects was actually part of the Going Global Partnership entitled Developing Connected Curriculum on Digital Twin for Health System Resilience in collaborations between Gajah Mada University and London Digital Research Centers, Middlesex University, London. So please allow me to uh, inform you about the agenda for today. So the first, we will have an opening remark from our Dean of Collaborations, Dr. Yodi, and then will be followed by serial presentations from Professor Juan and also from Dr. Sofik Barat. And then will be continue the discussion panels from our various stakeholders that come from health organizations in Indonesia, and then will be then we will have comment feedback as well as the discussions later on. So yeah, I think we can start now, and probably Mbak Esther or Mbak Hanifah would like to inform about the features of the interpretation.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Lutfan. Baik, selamat siang Bapak Ibu. Terima kasih atas kehadirannya. Jadi mungkin kami sedikit informasikan bahwa kami telah menyiapkan interpretasi bahasa. Jadi apabila nanti Bapak Ibu ingin mendengarkan dalam bahasa Indonesia, Bapak Ibu bisa klik tombol interpretation yang ada di bagian bawah Zoom. Kemudian nanti dipilih Indonesian. Dan apabila nanti Bapak Ibu ingin menonaktifkan, bisa kembali ke klik original audio. Yeah, we have prepared the language interpretation. If you want to hear English interpretation, you can click interpretation button below your Zoom, then choose English and off the stop. Thank you. Terima kasih Pak Lutfan.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So, well, I think we'll continue soon, and Mbak Hanifah, since that Pak Yodi will join later, but he has prepared the video for our opening remarks, and yeah, could you please share the video?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon to colleagues in Indonesia and India. Good morning to our colleagues in the UK. It's really a pleasure to welcome you all to our first workshop on digital twin for health system resilience curriculum. Now, we've seen that the COVID pandemic has clearly highlighted that we need a more resilient health system at local, national, and global level. Our Ministry of Health has clearly highlighted that health system transformation is a top priority in the coming years. And it's clear that digital transformation and health workforce is at the heart of this bold initiative. So capacity building on digital technologies for health is urgently needed in Indonesia at the moment. And for that reason, the Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing, Universitas Gajah Mada, is partnering with the Middlesex University and London Digital Twin Research Center to develop a connected curriculum on digital twin for health system resilience. Now, through today's workshop, we hope to engage key stakeholders to obtain inputs for the development of the connected curriculum structure on digital twin technology for strengthening health system resilience. These inputs could encompass both the challenges and opportunities in its implementation in the Indonesian workforce and health system. So this workshop is really critical as a first step in this partnership. So we would really need, and we would really appreciate your inputs. So for that, in advance, we would like to thank our key stakeholders. First of all, in Indonesia, the Kulon Progo District Health Office, Puskesmas Melati, Puskesmas Samigalo, UGM Academic Hospital, and our health informatics company for taking part and contributing inputs. We also thank our colleagues in India and UK for taking part and contributing input as well. And we would also like to thank our key partners, Middlesex University and London Digital Twin Research Center, for embarking on this exciting journey together with us. Last but certainly not least, we would like to thank the British Council for providing support to this partnership and enabling us to make this collaboration happen. So on that note, I wish you all a very productive workshop. Now wait, instead of wishing, let me rephrase that. Let's make it a very productive workshop together. Thank you all again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Yodi. So now we'll invite Professor Juan Nguyens to give presentations about the digital twin in healthcare. So, Professor Juan, please.
Thank you, Lutfan. Just give me a second to share the slide. Right. Thank you, everyone. And Jody, you already introduced very well our project. And yeah, I would like to echo him that in thanking our partners, EGMs, of course, and all the health centers, and Info Telika from Indonesia, and yes, of course, British Council. Without support of British Council in this going global partnerships, we wouldn't be able to include so many partners together here to impact, to explore this opportunity, exciting one in digital twin development, particularly in the curriculum development for healthcare resilience in this case. So yeah, this is our short presentation about the digital twin in healthcare. Myself and with Dr. Ramona Strachan, and yeah, Ramona, you can come in later on or anytime. Right, okay, so just quickly that Yodi already mentioned about the London Digital Twin Research Center. Yes, so I would like to introduce a little bit about this. My name is Juan Nguyen. I'm professor of digital communication engineering, but at the same time, I'm the director of this center. So yeah, I think we got the video, but I think that is too long to show it here. So I just quickly go through by myself. We target quite a few areas. I think that we founded this center in 2020 to oversee a number of projects in different domains. And the very first one actually in structures and in industry 4. And now we expanded to different areas like heritage, 5G, 6G network, or even in agriculture. And particularly this project here, we are doing this in the healthcare domain. So if you have a chance to go into our website to look at, you can see this video, which I played here, but I will stop right away because, as I said, that we cannot watch for 5 minutes in this video.
Twin is a computational model that is a representation of a real-world entity. Instead of making changes to physical system or workforce or company operations and cause.
Yeah, so that we are London Digital Twin Research Center video in there. So hey, let me stop it. And so what is digital twin? I think I may not sure if I touched on this before. You know that the very basic concept or the idea, I think it dated back to the NASA Apollo 13 mission, where they have to recreate, replicate the virtual or maybe just a simulator on the Earth to replicate the condition over on the spacecraft up there, which was having a problem, so they need to rescue it. And then, still a lot of I think I said the origin has been quite a few different versions of that. I think Michael Gribbs in presentation in 2002 that have firstly introduced this concept digital twin for the production life cycle management. But still it takes like, I think a decade later, I guess. I think it started picking up in 2016, 2017. You can see from the two figures over there that the interest in digital twin suddenly increasing, let's say that exponentially over the last few years. And since 2017, you can see that from the Google searches or the research article just picking up exponentially there. So before going into the healthcare, let's look at the other industry. You can see that there are many different domains and many different industries that they are doing this digital twin research, or they are developing with different maturity. So, if it's example in manufacturing, they also have, I think, quite one of the industry that quite advanced and in digital twin development for, as I said, like products in life cycle management and so on, smart factory, or this different type of digital twin application. And we got asset management and logistics, of course, and in automotive, of course, in design for the cars, how to make that car very aerodynamic efficiently. And even in energy, oil and gas, yeah, you can just manage the assets over there, and or you develop digital twin of the process in the production of energy and oils. And I touched on NASA, but very much example like the recent landing on Mars of the rover Perseverance. If you watch that live, you can see that very much like the advanced version of digital twin, where they take on the data from the real environment, feedback on the digital twin on the Rat rover, and decided what's the best landing, what's the best action for that landing. And okay, and then even heritage restoration, we have like one project at our own center doing with a partner from Egypt, trying to manage the heritage and condition and so on using the digital twin. And okay, in structure, of course, structural health monitoring using digital twin a lot. And environment, they talk about climate change, the digital twin of the earth. Quite a few big projects going on around the world about this area. And finally, I don't want to list everything here, but of course, 5G 6G network, they realized that now to get a new service to the market quickly, actually, you don't have to go to the site to test that, to validate, but you can do that using a digital twin version of the mobile network. And maybe quickly, Ramana, about that, our own project in Industry 4 with Smart Factory. Can you add just a few lines to that for our audience here?
Yeah, I can quickly say something. So we had a UK-India collaboration where we had to develop a digital twin for Industry 4.0. So for example, we have in Middlesex University, we have a cyber physical system, which is basically a assembly production line, small scale for academic purposes. So what we've done, we developed a digital twin of this assembly line. And then it will enable you to do predictive maintenance. So once you have the digital model of the smart factory, we define this digital twin as this two-way communication between the physical model and the digital model. So all the data coming from the real physical asset will go into the digital twin, where we can use different machine learning algorithms that will help you do optimization of the key performance indicators or performance predictive maintenance and so on. And this will be fed back to the real physical asset for these optimizations to happen in real time. So this was a successful project, and then we are continuing now with curriculum development as well. So we are looking into integrating this digital twin concept into the curriculum, and we'll have our partner from India later on in this workshop giving us a short description of that.
Thank you, Rama. Yes, I should have included some slides, but as I said later on, maybe we can talk more about that. But for now, let me just try to wrap up this presentation. I think maybe I will come back to this one later. What's the key concept in digital twin? You can see I highlight a few things here that, okay, the two systems, physical and digital, should exist side by side and evolving together through the data information exchange. So it's two-way exchange of information and data there. And need to have to bring in the intelligent bits to the system here. And also this should be the lasting the whole life cycle. It's not a destination that the digital twin is, but it's about the journeys from the beginning to the end. Okay, and the comprehensive definition, there are different version of definition around the world with the digital twin. We do have our own version of the definition, but it's quite technical bits you can see in the end over there. But basically just cover the 3 points I mentioned above, right? And digital twin for healthcare. Okay, I think that this is a quite exciting area. I think I just quickly maybe summarize 3 pillars in this area. I think that you can design this twin for the healthcare facility or the organization in this area, such as resource optimization, risk management, or operation efficiency. Even that you can design smart hospital for this sense. So the second pillar, the second area that you can design digital twin at personal level, at individual level. Let's say that like digital twin of the human body. So you can personalize a lot of things here, the treatment planning, the diagnosis, and so on. If you can do that, it's very good because every treatment should be tailored to different individual and should be adapt to the condition of that patient. So, and also this thing for the disease, medicine, and device development and so on. For example, like later on our speaker, so we can present more about pandemic modeling, for example. And also that I think recently we're interested in that how we can use this twin to improve the drug delivery, for example. And sometimes, you know, the drug released in the body, the efficiency is not so high. Can we study what's the optimized, what's the best side of the drugs, and so on, characteristic of drugs. So that also is good area can be used with digital twin. So yeah, many other things as well, but you can see here around the world, a lot of the company projects ongoing for the development of digital twin for healthcare. I got a few quotes there from Dassault System. They also like started the project Living Heart to design this thing of the heart, or the even that they design a living brain just to design to make sure that you can design a digital twin of a brain of a human. That sounds like very sci-fi stuff, but actually it's real. Okay, and yeah, you can see there's a hospital like in Ireland, for example, they have that, or university in Germany or King's College, they also developed this twin of the heart. It's very important that you got a cardiac digital twin, and also that a France-based startup, for example, has developed a patient-based, again, personalized treatment for the aneurysm in the blood vessel and so on. Okay, so how this is integrated, I think I cannot go into detail of this, but basically you utilize different type of data to that, okay, to create a digital twin. And so just take away points that you can see that this is actually quite key in delivering highly personalized treatment and intervention in healthcare. And also that if you can build like the banks of human digital twins, that one day could become critical for highly successful clinical trial, for example, among the other uses. So also key to modeling the pandemic prediction. That's we don't need to mention about how important that is for the pandemic, especially the COVID just happened, and still actually we haven't got completely over for that. And resource allocation, important during the pandemic. How do we allocate the resources from the government and policy point of views, which we would like to hear from some stakeholder here. And the curriculum development, of course, that is key in this project. So I'd like to just to end this here and maybe welcome any other discussion later. Back to you, Nurfan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Huan and also Dr. Ramona. I think it was really interesting presentations, and there has been many examples already. So next we'll listen to the examples of the digital twins to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we'll invite Dr. Sofik Bharat from TCS India to give the presentations. Yeah, please, Dr. Sofik.
Yeah, thanks. So, am I audible? Okay. And
Yes.
is my screen visible to all of you, or?
We can hear you, but you haven't shared the screen yet.
What about now?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks everyone, and thanks Juan for the introduction. So far, what we learned that digital twin is a virtual representations that will help you to perform various what if and if what scenarios. So if you just connect with what Juan was talking about, it is essentially used in any physical system and cyber physical system. For example, NASA used it as a kind of experimentation aid in a virtual environment. They have thousands of ideas, and they want to experiment things, and they don't want to discard based on any idea based on the intuition. So what they should do? So for that purpose, they created a virtual environment so that it is very close to the real, but still it is much more cost effective and time effective to experiment things and get certain experience. If I introduce certain kind of thing, what would be the consequence? If I do something today, what would be the situation tomorrow? So such kind of analysis you can do using a digital twin that will help you to at least prune out certain options. Now you are probably thinking those are very useful in a context where it's more of a physical system. What is physical system means? They are governed by a set of scientific law of physics, law of chemistry, or thermodynamics. But here, when it is coming to health or healthcare related policies, things are a lot of uncertain. There are full of uncertainties. Things change very often, and even for example, human today is living in a very dynamic situations. So how those technique would be useful, that's probably we would like to understand. And here I will try to give you one example which we have done in reality, and still the concept of digital twin is much more useful to at least understand what will happen. To introduce a kind of a problem we dealt with in last 2 years. As we all know that COVID pandemic actually impacted all our social and economic progress and so on. And in last at least 1 year, we tried to open up societies, we tried to open up organization, but whenever we see such kind of opportunity, we also see somewhere some new variants are emerging, or probably some surges happening in somewhere in the world. And that make us a kind of a bit of restrictive to opening up societies, opening up organizations, and so on. So now the question is, we know that we need to live with this virus at least for some time, but at the same time we need to kind of encourage socioeconomic progress, and basically defining a new normal what we see in the future. But the question is, what would that new normal be? When can we transition to that new normal? What kind of policy that we need to introduce? So, and it is it's happening across the world. most of the decision makers are taking decisions based on the intuitions, or they feel that such kind of policy is probably useful, and they implement it in reality and try to get sense of is it effective or not. So such kind of real experimentation probably it's most costly because we are dealing with human here, it's not with the machine. So we need to be very precise as this idea of this workshop. It has to be resilient. You need to think about what kind of risk associated with any kind of policy or change that we are introducing into the society. And our objective is, can we have a kind of digital twin kind of technology where we can generate at least some evidences. If I do something today, what would happen in the future? So that will at least help decision maker to take better informed decision based on a bit of scientific rigor rather than intuitions. With that, we constructed a digital twin of a city because we felt that if I have a pandemic like COVID pandemic and such kind of thing, probably countrywide policy or countrywide law or interventions may not be useful. You need to be very precise for a particular area. And if you have to do so, you need to create a digital twin. But what that means? So first of all, you need to consider various aspects of interest. In this case, you definitely need to understand how the virus is spreading into the society. So that means epidemiological characteristics, how things are transmitting from one person to another person. When person is infected, how things are progressing, whether people are getting infectious, whether people will be severe or not, or if what are the probability of getting person severe or even getting recovered or diet. Such kind of things are there. So there are lot of knowledge available in from the epidemiological characteristics. Can we capture that in a model form so that it can be used in a better way to understand how things will evolve in a city? So that's one aspect. Second aspect, as we all know, that even the same variant is impacting very differently for different individuals. That means what we have to do is we need to understand demographic informations. The people who are living in a particular area, what is their age, what is their comorbidity, what is the gender, or whether they are vaccinated or not, and so on. So those information can we capture. Third thing is more of a places, and because people are how people are getting infected because they are going out, and when they go out, it could be because of profession, it could be because of other work or something like that. Even when they are staying at home, they are getting infected from their household members. So you need to understand how people are living. So whether they are living in a very congested place, they are using kind of a place like India or Indonesia. Probably there are many places where you will see the people who are living in a congested place, they have to use a lot of facilities which are shared. So those kind of information can we capture in a model form. And then definitely you need to understand what kind of interventions are applied or what you would like to apply so that you can control the situation. So if I can capture this kind of all types of information as a kind of model, that will help you to actually establish a virtual environment, what one was talking about, a digital twin, to perform lot of experimentation. What that experimentation could be. So I would like to, for example, I would like to introduce a weekend lockdown. So is it really useful or it is not? So can I do such kind of experimentation in a virtual environment? Or from tomorrow, if I increase the testing significantly, it's really useful or not? Or if I nudge people to wear masks, so what is the impact? Or if I adopt a different kind of vaccine strategies, for example, if I take a different types of booster dose strategies, so how, what would be the impact? So how the infection will spread? What would be the possible load on ICUs or ventilators? Or people, what would be the load on institutional quarantine center? And more importantly, what kind of what age group of the people with what kind of comorbidity you can can get infected, so that you can be more prepared to kind of control such kind of situation. For city administrator perspective, they are more concerned about what kind of lockdown or what kind of relaxations I'll introduce. But from the healthcare organization, they are more interested if there is a new variant. So what would be the additional load I'll see on my hospitalization? Or if there is any relaxation, so will that impact my load on hospitalization? So such kind of situation, if we can anticipate much prior with certain kind of rigor and precision, it will definitely help the decision maker two ways. One is definitely they will be prepared. Second is, if you have such kind of environment you can play and various what if scenario, it will help decision makers to take much more better decision than intuition. And that's what we have done. We constructed a digital twin capturing all those kind of aspect of interest which are relevant for COVID. But it is not necessary that you have to just include only those. You may include more factors if you think so. For example, now there are many variants, there are many vaccines and all those kind of things. People are moving out of the country. So such kind of things you capture and feed data which you have for more of a demographic detail, city specific places and all those things, and interventions you applied so far to construct a virtual representation, and then you do a lot of what if scenarios. And the message is such kind of, you can construct a computation model which will help you to perform what if scenario, which is not only governed by any kind of laws, because here you can see the people can move randomly, or people, even there are lockdown, people can basically move out and they can violate. At home, how people are behaving, it's not governed by any kind of scientific laws, but there is a kind of more of a probability model, random modeling randomness, or so such kind of thing. If a different kind of field of research, if you can combine, it will be much more useful. So here I'll give a kind of different, so it will be useful to understand what will happen. Now, what you are thinking is, yes, that's there, and there are many people who tried. Yes, there are people, and there are different kind of model exist, and each, as you can see, there are statistical model exist based on the historical data you can analyze. Then there are compartmental model like SEI model. So probably you know much better. So it is there for almost a century, where even in 1980s pandemic also analyzed through SEIR model. Then there is more recent version of agent-based model and so on. And each of this model, there are a lot of advantages and disadvantages. For example, if you use statistical model, you need significant data, but we know that because of this testing, less of testing, or data is very less. So you may not just rely on statistical model. Then compartmental model has a kind of capability of analyzing situations, but they are not cognizant of heterogeneity or individual realistic behavior. For example, if a person may get infected, but whether that person will be asymptomatic or they will be symptomatic based on the individual behavior. Those kind of things are super spreader event. You may not able to capture using SEIR model. Then there are agent-based model where you can capture the emergent behavior, you can capture heterogeneity and so on, but then you may not able to scale up beyond certain point and so on. So there are different kind of model. You need to understand that how this model can be used. For this context, we use agent-based model. But probably there are different, what one was talking about, the digital twin of individual for, let's say, diabetic prediction. So you don't have much thing rather than informing historical data. So such kind of thing, more statistical model are used. Then there are other ways you have the compartmental model and so on. So this is how things are. There are different techniques. You have to kind of use different kind of ways to capture various situations based on the purpose that you are looking at. Now, going back to kind of what is, just to give you in a minute, what are the things are possible with if you construct a digital twin model for a city. So this is something which we have done for an Indian city where I'm located today. So we constructed a digital twin as described in the previous slides, like comorbidity, then comorbidity, demographic aspect, places and interventions, and so on. And what we could able to do it, we work with city administrator and various local hospitals and so on to understand if I introduce a different kind of intervention, what will happen. For example, if I open office versus if I open shop, what will happen? If I introduce a weekend lockdown, what will be the situations? Or even you can think about from where you will get the maximum number of infections. So it says in our analysis says that almost 50 to 60% infections are originated from household. So probably focusing more on home isolation is useful interventions, or even, and we need to think about wearing mask at during house when you are staying at house, then going out. So those kind of analysis you can do, and some of the things actually appeared in our local newspaper and all. During second wave, we also tried to understand when the new wave will come. And here you can see in 2020 December, we estimated that second wave will hit in our city around March 21, and actually it happened. And which we published much before it happened, and probably you can analyze the thing. So here the message is, even if you see there are a lot of uncertainties, there are a lot of unknown factors, still you can use digital twin in a much more effective way to predict what will happen. More recently, we did a kind of analysis, what would be the situation for third wave, how different variant can take over, and the things. This is the kind of graph for our city. It says that a certain point of time, the alpha variant is going away, and then delta variant is taking more control. After that, due to the higher infectivity of Omicron, it is taking much more control positions than the Delta, and this is how things are happening. So you can actually analyze, even if you can see here what we predicted, which is shown using the orange line, and what happened in the reality is that blue line, they also match very closely. In addition, we also did a lot of experimentation. For example, if reinfection is more, what will happen, or different types of kind of situation due to different consequences, how the city will see the projections, and also we can able to do such kind of things. So in this current context, there are many uncertainties in terms of vaccine efficacy, in terms of variant, in terms of losing immunity and so on. But still, if you can capture those information in a very precise way, you can do much more than what we think. So that's a message. I think I'll just stop here, and I may come back if you have any questions. So thank you, and you can connect me any point of time if you are interested in any of the work that we have done in last 2 years. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sofik. It's very interesting. And we expect to have this kind of system also on our health systems. And hopefully this will be the starting point to do it. Okay, and the next we will listen to how our health system works and how resilience are there. So in this case, we will invite Dr. Yodi to do the presentations.
Hello again. Let me spend the next 10 minutes on discussing with you about what are the key lessons we can learn from the COVID-19 pandemic to strengthen our health system resilience. Just before we start, let me just try to share my screen. Wait, slideshow. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. So we know that we've been going through this pandemic for more than 2 years now. Things seems to be more or less under control, and hopefully we are actually transitioning to more endemic phase. But in any case, we need to be still prepared, because we know even though this pandemic may pass, we might be heading to another pandemic. It's just a matter of when, because we are actually living in an age of pandemics. So it's very important to actually take stock of the current pandemic to be able to be better prepared for the next one, to be able to strengthen our health system resilience, which is very much needed to be able to cope with pandemics such as this one. So what are the key lessons? The first one is about how we can have a better early warning system. And that starts with surveillance. That is one of our key weaknesses in this current pandemic. We did not have a surveillance which is smart enough, rigorous enough to pick up this pandemic early enough. And here the challenge is because if we look at the COVID-19 and also other newly emerging diseases, majority of these are zoonotic diseases, meaning they came from animals. So our surveillance system actually would have to be able to pick them up while these diseases are still circulating among animals before they're spilling over to humans. So that's a challenge, to be able to extend our surveillance to cover the animals, or at the least to be able to cover the interface between human and animal. That would be the least that we would need. Now, another challenge with the surveillance system is also what we see with these newly emerging diseases, these new pathogens, so SARS-CoV-2, they mutate quite quickly. So we need also the capacity for genomic surveillance to be able to detect these resistant strains quite quickly. And that's also capacity which is still lacking, but that's definitely a capacity which we need to work on if we want to strengthen our health system resilience. So that's the first lessons. Second lesson is what we learn is that we need to be able to work with better data and to be able to support smarter decision making. I remember in the early stage of the pandemic, around April, May 2020, there were a lot of requests to make mathematical modeling so that the policymaker could make better decisions. It was very difficult to make mathematical modeling because we have very limited data, and any data which is out there was patchy. So it was very difficult to make any model and to actually make good decisions in the absence of modeling, in the absence of good data. So here the point is that to strengthen resilience, we need to be able to have better data to improve the quality of our data, but also to be able to improve our capacity to work with big data, because that's what is coming out more and more these days. A lot of data are coming out, but we're not able to analyze them properly. And most importantly also is to be able to present this in such a way to the policymakers so that they can actually make better decisions that also strengthen the capacity for evidence-based decision making. So that's the second lesson from the COVID-19 pandemic, how we can provide better data to support smarter decision making. Third lessons we saw, especially during the second peak in Indonesia, during the Delta peak, that many of our health services was overwhelmed. And this actually highlighted the fragility of our healthcare system that we have been actually struggling with for many decades. We've been struggling with human resource issue for many decades. And apparently we also have a lot of weaknesses in our medical supply chains. So it basically highlights the weakness of our existing health infrastructure, which is still inadequate to deal with surge of cases during an outbreak, during a pandemic. So here the lesson is for the next pandemic to be able to be better prepared to strengthen our resilience. We need also to increase the capacity of healthcare system so that they can manage surge of cases during pandemics like this. So that's the third lesson. Now, the fourth lesson, which we saw also that during the peaks, especially during the Delta peak, again, we saw a critical shortage of essential supplies, essential commodities like oxygens and drugs. We saw long queues of people looking for oxygens. And this basically highlighted that as far as pharmaceutical industry or health technology industry is concerned in Indonesia, it's still very limited. Most of our pharmaceutical pharmaceutical supply, most of our commodities are imported. So when there's a global crisis like this, we have difficulty on securing these supplies, and so that a lot of our population could not access them. So the homework for the next pandemic and to strengthen our health system resilience is to be able to increase the self-sufficiency of our pharmaceutical industry, of our health technology industry, so that we are better prepared if a global crisis, if a pandemic strikes like this one. So that's the fourth lesson. The fifth lesson, what we saw is also there is a lot of disinformation, misinformation. People say it's not just a pandemic, but infodemic, which is completely true. We saw pseudo academization of conspiracy theories, and it's just going to get worse in the next pandemic. So we need to build our capacity to manage infodemic. But it's not just a technical issue. Underlying this infodemic is also an issue of trust. People choose to hear from sources they trust. And if they distrust the authorities, if they distrust the governments, then it's very difficult for governments and authorities to get their message across. So here we not only have to build capacity to manage infodemic, but we also need to build capacity to build and manage trust from the communities, so that it will be easier to collaborate, to work with, and to get messages across. Okay, so that's the fifth lessons. The sixth and the last lessons is about the inequity, which is making social interventions, public health interventions very difficult in Indonesia when it comes to large-scale mobility restriction, for example. It's very difficult for people from the lower socioeconomic to stay at home, like the government instructed, because many of the people who are at the socioeconomic structure, they are working in the informal sector, meaning that they don't rely on monthly paycheck, but they have to go out there and work day to day to make a living. So if they stay at home, they don't make money, they don't make a living. It's very difficult for them to survive. And that speaks to the disparity of socioeconomic classes in Indonesia. Many of the middle income, the high income did not have as much problem because they live on monthly paycheck, or they even have their own business, and many of their work can be transferred online, but that's not the case with the lower socioeconomic group. So if we want to be better prepared for the next pandemic, if we want our system to be more resilient, then we need to do better in terms of health equity. So those are the 6 key lessons we learned from the COVID-19 pandemic. First of all, how to advance our warning system so we pick up threats early. Then how can we have better data to drive smarter policy decisions, to have better evidence-based policy making? How can we strengthen our health services, our health capacity to cope with surge? How can we ensure access to vaccine, medicine, commodities to our populations? How can we build and enhance trust and also manage communication? And last but not least, how we can improve health equity. Now, of course, there are more lessons, but since time is limited, I would refer you to these 2 publications, which we published last year, both in 2021, and both are open access, and both can give more details in terms of what are the key lessons from the COVID-19 response in Indonesia for better preparedness and for health system resilience. And at the end, just as a take-home message, again, we are living in an age of pandemic. Preventing a pandemic may not be possible, so being prepared is the key. So health system resilience is the key. So learning from the existing pandemic is the key. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Riyadi. Yeah, I think we have many lessons from the pandemic. So then, yeah, we'll continue with the panelists from stakeholders. So we'll invite Ibu Titi Supriyati from Health Office of Kulon Progo, and then Dr. Evita from Melati 2 Health Centers, Dr. Tari from Samikalo Health Centers, as well as Dr. Dewi Ratmasari from UGM Hospital, and Pak Sunandar Haryanto from Siswo Medica. So yeah, we'll first invite Dr. Titi Subyati to give some comments as well as information related to the health office. Yeah, please, Dr. Titi. Bisa dibantu Mbak Hanifah ada atau Dr. Kusnun yang mau menyampaikan?
Ya, silahkan dari Dinas Kesehatan Kulon Progo apabila ada yang hadir untuk mewakili Dr. Titi.
Suara saya bisa didengarkan, Bapak Ibu?
Bisa, Dok.
Terdengar.
Silakan.
Mohon dibantu ditampilkan slide terkait dengan profil Kabupaten Kulon Progo. Ya, Bapak Ibu sekalian yang kami hormati, kami mewakili Dinas Kesehatan Kabupaten Kulon Progo terkait dengan profil Kabupaten Kulon Progo. Di tengah itu ada gambar peta daripada Kulon Progo. Nanti kaitannya dengan digitalisasi pelayanan akan kita masuki terkait dengan geografik informasi sistem. Jadi geografik informasi sistem dengan sumber daya yang ada, mulai jumlah penduduk miskin, posyandu aktif, poskesdes, rumah sakit, ini adalah sumber daya yang ada di tingkat Kabupaten Kulon Progo. Sehingga terkait dengan digitalisasi pelayanan, misalnya persentase balita stunting 12,57 nanti bisa dipetakan. Yang pertama berbasis Kapanewon, kemudian di breakdown ke Puskesmas Samigalo 1 berapa persen, kemudian Puskesmas Samigalo 2 berapa persen. Ini rencananya semua digitalisasi pelayanan berawal daripada GIS, Geographic Informasi System. Kemudian ditarik sebelumnya itu masuk ke diagram, entah itu diagram balok, entah itu diagram batang, maupun diagram garis. Sebelumnya masuk ke tabel, jadi tabulasi secara deskriptif mulai dari Puskesmas Temon 1 sampai dengan Puskesmas Samigalo 2, kemudian diakhiri dengan SAM, jumlah Kabupaten Kulon Progo, persentasenya berapa. Lanjut. Bisa lanjut untuk slide yang kedua. Ya, ini adalah bisa dipakai untuk pembelajaran. Ketika kita ada 5 indikator, yang pertama adalah jumlah ibu hamil. Ketika ada COVID, ini dari 10 kematian bisa di breakdown. 5 kematian ibu hamil karena COVID ini ada di puskesmas mana, ini ada di Kapanewon mana. Dari jumlah ibu hamil ini bisa dibuat 2 kategori, 3 kategori. Kategori yang pertama normal, kemudian beresiko, yang ketiga adalah resiko tinggi. Ketika ketemu resiko tinggi, kita breakdown ke telusur yang lebih transaksional, itu bisa dipakai untuk pembelajaran, termasuk kelompok resiko tinggi. Dan diakhiri dengan hari perkiraan lahir. Hari perkiraan lahir pada hari ini bisa di breakdown, itu posisinya ada di kecamatan mana, di puskes mana, di desa mana, di RW mana, di dusun mana. Itu bisa, sehingga kita buatkan grid geografik informasi sistem. Ketika dia sudah lahir, maka balon-balon itu akan pecah. Lanjut untuk slide yang ketiga. Ya, slide yang ketiga mohon dibantu. Ya, yang kedua setelah ibu hamil, dilanjutkan dengan ibu melahirkan. Ibu melahirkan itu kita bisa memantau terkait dengan stunting, ya stunting. Nah, stunting itu bisa di breakdown di tingkat Kapanewon, kemudian wilayah puskesmas, bahkan sampai desa. Bahkan kita bisa mengetahui apakah di desa tersebut prevalensi stunting dari tahun 2021 dibanding 2020 naik atau turun. Karena ada peraturan pemerintah, ada Perpres yang mengatur tentang percepatan penurunan stunting. Sehingga kebijakannya adalah jangan sampai di dalam proses kehidupan manusia, jangan sampai ada peningkatan prevalensi stunting, karena Perpresnya adalah percepatan penurunan stunting. Untuk slide selanjutnya. Slide selanjutnya, monggo. Ya, untuk mendukung mata hatiku, bahwa ada riset yang mengisyaratkan ada hubungan antara berat badan dan panjang badan, tinggi badan. Sehingga ada aplikasi di salah satu puskesmas namanya adalah Kumpul Bocah Nambah Bobot. Aplikasinya namanya adalah Register Berat Badan. Sehingga ketika kita menjumpai berat badannya itu lebih daripada 2,5 bersalin di fasilitas kesehatan rumah sakit, itu kalau dia nanti di tinggi badannya itu di bawah 48, itu kewajiban daripada pengawas harus mengukur pada ANC yang pertama. Ini aplikasi yang pertama. Lanjut untuk slide berikutnya. Slide berikutnya. Ya, ini adalah prima gravida terkait dengan pemanfaatan teknologi dalam upaya penurunan kejadian stunting. Ini adalah bukti-bukti kondisi di lapangan dan tampilan-tampilan sehingga lebih mudah untuk dipahami, sekaligus memberikan informasi tentang edukasi yang berhubungan dengan ibu hamil. Lanjut untuk slide yang terakhir. Ya, ini salah satu bentuk daripada intervensi sensitif terkait dengan remaja. Ya, remaja di dalam Perpres itu mengisyaratkan bahwa remaja itu harus digarap, sehingga kita punya inovasi silang mas yang dulunya adalah pemberian FE pada remaja. Ini adalah sekedar penyediaan. Betul, cakupannya bagus, tetapi belum tentu terkait dengan pemberian FE itu TTD-nya diminum, termasuk pada ibu hamil juga betul cakupan penyediaan FE tinggi, tetapi belum tentu diminum. Sehingga pada inovasi ini diikuti dengan jumlah tablet tambah darah yang diminum, sehingga tingkat efektivitasnya kalau intake-nya bisa 8% dipastikan, maka kasus anemia pada ibu hamil maupun ibu menyusui akan menurun. Saya kira itu dari kami terkait dengan inovasi digitalisasi pelayanan. Mungkin dari Bu Titi atau Dr. Kusna ada yang ingin menambahkan? Ya, kalau tidak ada, terima kasih dan waktu kami kembalikan. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Pak Joko. So I think there was very important priority that has been actually targeting by the health office, such as the apps for high-risk pregnant women to deal with the stunting, as well as to monitor child growth, and also to use the GIS for data and visualization of the health centers to provide the healthcare services for the community. Okay, so next we will invite Dr. Evita from Puskesmas Melati 2. Silakan Bu Evita.
Ya. Selamat siang, Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati. Mohon izin saya share screen. Ya. Apakah sudah bisa dilihat ya?
Sudah.
Oke. Terima kasih. Jadi terkait dengan pandemi COVID-19 waktu itu, kami dari Puskesmas Melati 2 melakukan beberapa manajemen risiko terkait dengan pelayanan. Ini adalah area kerja Puskesmas Melati 2. Ya. Terdiri dari 3 desa dengan jumlah penduduk sekitar 40.000 orang atau 12.000 KK, dengan sumber daya 58 orang PNS dan 26 non-PNS, totalnya ada sekitar 84 orang. Jadi ada beberapa hal yang kita lakukan di dalam pelayanan selama pandemi, walaupun kita tidak bisa secara langsung untuk bisa melaksanakan pelayanan kepada masyarakat, namun kita memanfaatkan beberapa teknologi informasi, misalnya seperti pendaftaran melalui WA, kemudian kita juga ada hotline COVID-19, sehingga masyarakat yang positif terkena COVID bisa langsung melaporkan melalui hotline yang telah disediakan oleh Puskesmas, dan mereka akan mendapatkan tindak lanjut dari Puskesmas seperti misalnya mendapatkan obat, kemudian juga dilakukan screening terhadap anggota keluarganya, tracing, dan juga untuk pemantauan isolasi mandiri di rumah. Kemudian kita juga melakukan telekonsultasi, ini sangat bermanfaat selama pandemi ini dan banyak sekali yang mengakses, terutama untuk yang isolasi mandiri di rumah. Jadi mereka tidak perlu datang ke Puskesmas, mereka bisa cukup berkonsultasi dan nanti obat-obatan bisa diambil di Puskesmas melalui Gojek atau ada saudaranya atau kader atau tokoh masyarakat yang bisa membantu mengambilkan. Kemudian kita juga melakukan edukasi secara virtual, baik itu melalui WA Group. Ini ada Mami Cantik, itu adalah WA Group untuk ibu hamil. Jadi kami tetap melakukan pemantauan kesehatan pada ibu hamil selama masa pandemi. Kemudian kita juga ada 1000 chatting, ini adalah WA Group untuk memantau tumbuh kembang balita, sehingga kita tetap melakukan pencegahan terhadap stunting dan juga untuk konsultasi bagi ibu bayi terkait dengan jadwal imunisasi, kemudian pemberian makanan tambahan untuk ASI dan sebagainya. Kita juga melakukan edukasi melalui Zoom maupun IG Live ya bagi masyarakat tergantung dari sasarannya. Jadi setiap hari Selasa siang kita melakukan edukasi untuk remaja, kemudian juga ini kita kerjasama dengan UGM juga untuk melakukan edukasi juga terkait dengan ibu tangguh, pantau anak tumbuh optimal selama masa pandemi. Jadi untuk bayi dan balita yang tidak bisa datang ke Posyandu, ibu-ibu ini akan dilatih secara virtual dan lewat WA Group untuk melaporkan tinggi badan dan berat badan sehingga tetap bisa dipantau. Kemudian kita juga memanfaatkan untuk membuat peta zonasi, ini sebagai early warning system bahwa di suatu wilayah apabila terdapat kasus COVID, maka di sekitarnya nanti akan kita lakukan perlakuan khusus seperti misalnya PPKM, jadi pembatasan untuk mobilitas bagi warga dan sebagainya. Ya, ini beberapa dokumentasi. Ya, jadi kita tetap melakukan edukasi walaupun di masa pandemi. Seperti itu. Mungkin itu dari saya sekilas, dan sampai dengan saat ini justru kegiatan-kegiatan secara virtual ini masih berlanjut dan manfaatnya cukup besar, dan kami mendapatkan indeks kepuasan masyarakat dari tahun 2019, 2020, 2021 itu meningkat dari 83 menjadi 87% untuk angka kepuasan masyarakat. Jadi untuk kegiatan digitalisasi ini sampai dengan saat ini masih berlangsung. Terima kasih dari saya, selamat siang.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Evita. So there has been many or various applications, including using the WhatsApp group also to continue the health services to the community. Okay, so the next we'll invite Dr. Tari Asuti from Puskesmas Samigalo.
Oke, terima kasih Dr. Lutfan. Selamat siang, good evening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nama saya Tari Astuti, saya bertugas di Primary Healthcare Puskesmas Samigalo 2, one of the 21 Puskesmas at Kulon Progo Regency. Dan saya akan share screen untuk bisa terbaca ya Bapak Ibu?
Bisa.
Oke, baik. Oke, baik. Untuk Puskesmas Samigalo 2 ini memang menjadi suatu hal yang sangat menantang karena terletak di perbukitan Menoreh, di atasnya kebun teh, sekitar 45 km kalau dari pusat kota Kulon Progo. Dan memang puskesmas kami itu memang di perbukitan dengan kendala yang luar biasa, yaitu jaringan listrik yang sering mati, seperti tadi pagi aja mati listrik. Kemudian ketika mati listrik, jaringan internet itu otomatis menjadi on off gitu. Jadi sangat-sangat menantang untuk Samigalo 2. Untuk upaya digitalisasi yang dilakukan oleh Puskesmas Samigalo 2 masih banyak seputar layanan WhatsApp group. Karena memang kalau misalnya kita mau mencoba live IG, kemudian mau melakukan seperti siaran langsung seperti itu, terkendala oleh sinyal. Karena memang wilayah kerjanya adalah wilayah yang cukup menantang dengan 3 kelurahan dengan jumlah penduduk sekitar 10.789 jiwa. Tapi memang untuk sosmed kami juga memiliki, meskipun yang akses tidak terlalu banyak, karena memang kalau untuk wilayah Samigalo ini memang terkendala di jaringan sinyal. Kemudian selama pandemi COVID ini kami melakukan beberapa inovasi dengan jumlah SDM yang kami miliki, yaitu seperti yang tertera sebentar. Ini jaringan ini contohnya. Jadi kami membuat WhatsApp group berupa seperti program inovasi, yaitu Pekarona, Peduli Keluarga Penderita Corona. Jadi nanti kami memantau via SDM yang tinggal di wilayah kerja, terutama dari teman-teman juru surveillance desa. Kemudian ketika ada laporan terhadap kondisi pasien, kami bergerak cepat dengan semacam seperti tele-WA gitu, telemedicine, televisite gitu, kemudian obat kita serahkan kepada penderita. Sama dengan untuk kegiatan-kegiatan yang, ini adalah kegiatan yang ada di Samigalo 2, sama dengan kegiatan di dalam pengendalian penyakit tidak menular, yaitu terutama di hipertensi, karena kami memang memiliki kasus tertinggi adalah di hipertensi nomor 1 sebelum besar diagnosis dari tahun 2018 sampai dengan 2022 ini. Jadi kami mengoptimalkan peran kader, pemberdayaan, kemudian kita istilahnya intervensi pada saat memang ada pasien yang hasil tekanan darahnya tidak baik, tinggi, itu kami intervensi dengan pengobatan, baik itu via jaringan puskesmas pembantu maupun puskesmas induk. Jadi intinya kalau untuk di Samigalo 2 memang tidak bisa dibuat seperti di puskesmas yang di dataran rendah di bawah dengan berbagai inovasi, karena memang kalau di Samigalo 2 itu jaringan betul-betul memang menjadi tantangan tersendiri. Sekilas itu saja, jadi Samigalo 2 baru banyak mengoptimalkan WA group. Begitu. Itu saja. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Tari. So there has been a challenge that the locations of health centers is on the uphill, which cause the network issue. But WhatsApp group mainly the main mode to continue the healthcare services during the pandemic. Okay, so next we'll go to the hospital. Dr. Dewi Rahmasari from UGM Hospital.
Selamat sore Bapak Ibu sekalian yang saya hormati. Apakah suara saya bisa diterima dengan jelas?
Bisa, Dok, silakan.
Mohon izin share screen. Apakah bisa diterima slide-nya dengan jelas?
Bisa, silakan.
Ya, baik. Terima kasih. Mohon izin perkenalkan, nama saya Dewi Ratmasari. Saya dari Rumah Sakit Akademik Universitas Gadjah Mada. Sebelumnya, mohon izin saya memperkenalkan profil singkat dari rumah sakit kami. Rumah Sakit Akademik Universitas Gadjah Mada atau yang sering disingkat dengan RSAUGM. Kami merupakan rumah sakit perguruan tinggi negeri di bawah Kementerian Pendidikan, Kebudayaan, Riset, dan Teknologi, dalam hal ini di bawah Universitas Gadjah Mada. Kami merupakan rumah sakit kelas B pendidikan dengan jumlah tempat tidur saat ini adalah 338 tempat tidur. Baik, kami mencoba men-share secara singkat mengenai pemanfaatan teknologi digital pada saat masa pandemi ini. Di antaranya adalah aplikasi RSA UGM online. Jadi di sini coba saya masukkan icon apabila aplikasi ini sudah terinstal di smartphone seperti ini yang tertampil di layar, dan kemudian apabila nanti aplikasi ini sudah diklik, nanti akan muncul tampilan layar muka seperti ini. Jadi aplikasi RSA UGM online ini biasanya satu aplikasi hanya bisa dipakai oleh satu pengguna. Di sini kami terus berkembang, jadi aplikasi RSA UGM online itu bisa digunakan satu aplikasi untuk beberapa pengguna. Jadi satu pengguna, kemudian nanti dia bisa menambahkan beberapa anggota keluarganya. Misalkan ada orang tua ingin menambahkan putra-putrinya yang masih kecil-kecil yang mungkin belum bisa mengakses smartphone atau handphone seperti itu. Atau ingin menambahkan pengguna yaitu orang tuanya yang mungkin sudah lanjut usia, yang sudah tidak mungkin lagi mengakses handphone atau smartphone. Jadi di sini satu aplikasi bisa digunakan oleh beberapa pengguna. Di sini sudah ada fitur tambah pengguna atau tambah pasien. Nah, aplikasi RSA UGM online ini apabila nanti kita sudah masuk ke dalamnya akan tertampil seperti ini. Jadi yang jelas satu fungsinya adalah untuk admisi, untuk melakukan pendaftaran secara online. Jadi dengan melakukan pendaftaran secara online ini nanti pasien tidak perlu datang ke rumah sakit, mengantri dan sebagainya. Dan ini sangat membantu pasien dalam memudahkan untuk menyingkat waktu dan juga tidak harus datang ke rumah sakit untuk mengantri dan sebagainya. Kemudian dengan ini juga pasien atau pengguna bisa melihat jadwal dokter pada hari kapan, tanggal berapa yang dikehendaki, dokter siapa yang praktek pada hari tersebut, tanggal tersebut, dan antrian keberapa, bahkan kuota penuh juga akan bisa muncul dalam aplikasi ini. Kemudian selain itu juga laboratorium. Jadi pasien bisa mengakses, bisa melihat hasil-hasil laboratorium yang sudah dilakukan. Kemudian begitu pula dengan bacaan radiologi. Tetapi mohon maaf untuk gambar radiologi saat ini masih dalam pengembangan sehingga belum bisa diakses dengan aplikasi RSA UGM online ini. Jadi baru bacaan radiologinya. Kemudian pasien atau pengguna juga bisa memberikan kritik dan saran melalui aplikasi ini. Kemudian tagihan ini juga pengembangan yang belum lama juga. Jadi pasien ini untuk memudahkan pasien. Jadi pasien bisa memantau pergerakan tagihannya itu sudah sampai di mana. Kemudian apakah ada tagihan-tagihan yang belum terselesaikan seperti itu, sehingga pasien tidak harus bolak-balik ke kasir untuk menanyakan kepada petugas, sehingga cukup diakses dengan aplikasi RSA UGM online ini. Kemudian selain itu jadwal dokter, pasien juga bisa memantau ketersediaan tempat tidur atau bed melalui aplikasi ini secara online, misalkan ICU, kelas 1, kelas 2, kelas 3, VIP. Selain itu juga melalui aplikasi ini pasien juga bisa mendapatkan informasi-informasi kesehatan. Ini sebagai contoh yang saya tampilkan misalkan tentang vaksinasi yang tersedia, layanan swab, dan informasi yang lain. Kemudian di aplikasi ini juga terhubung dengan jumpa dokter. Apa itu jumpa dokter? Saya coba sampaikan. Jadi jumpa dokter itu adalah singkatan dari Journey for Online Electronic Medical Professional Assistance, di mana ini adalah istilah telemedicine di rumah sakit kami, sama seperti fasilitas kesehatan yang lain, di mana telemedicine ini merupakan jawaban atau solusi pada masa pandemi ini, di mana pasien takut datang ke rumah sakit, sehingga dengan adanya telemedicine atau di tempat kami namanya jumpa dokter, pasien dapat tetap berkonsultasi dengan dokter tanpa harus datang ke rumah sakit. Meskipun saat ini telemedicine di tempat kami pelaksanaannya masih sederhana, tetapi kami terus mencoba selalu berupaya untuk pengembangan terutama dalam hal digitalisasi. Kemudian edukasi meskipun dalam masa pandemi juga tetap harus berjalan. Penyampaian berbagai macam edukasi disampaikan melalui berbagai media sosial, misalkan edukasi kesehatan melalui Instagram Live, kemudian dialog-dialog kesehatan melalui YouTube Live, kemudian yang nantinya juga tetap bisa didengarkan rekamannya, kemudian talk show kesehatan oleh para ahli yang pakar di bidangnya, misalkan melalui Zoom atau melalui aplikasi yang lain, dan itu disiarkan juga secara online. Ya, kurang lebihnya demikian, sehingga adanya pemanfaatan teknologi digital ini tentu saja sangat bermanfaat bagi kinerja pelayanan di rumah sakit, dan dari sisi pasien sangat memudahkan akses, banyak memberikan manfaat, begitu juga dari sisi tenaga kesehatan, bisa meningkatkan kinerja juga. Ya, demikian. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dewi. So there are already some digital health applications to help the hospital administrative as well as to support the clinical management, including also the telemedicine that has been released to respond to the pandemic. Okay, so next we'll invite Pak Sunandar from Siswa Medica.
Selamat siang, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mohon izin, saya share screen dulu. Oke, sudah terlihat ya. Terima kasih atas waktunya untuk sedikit mempresentasikan terkait kami dari PT Siswa Medica. Perkenalkan, nama saya Sunandar Hari, dipanggil Hari. Di PT Siswa Medica saya diamanahkan untuk memimpin teman-teman untuk dalam kesehariannya untuk membuat sebuah inovasi dan solusi di bidang kesehatan. PT Siswa Medica itu berdiri tahun 2006 dan fokus pada pengembangan sistem informasi kesehatan, di mana beberapa klien kami seperti WHO, Kementerian Kesehatan, kemudian Dinkes Provinsi, Dinkes Kabupaten, kemudian juga termasuk Simkes adalah salah satu adalah partner dari kami. Selain dari kita fokus dari pengembangan sistem informasi, kita juga sebagai konsultan di IT kesehatan. Beberapa produk kami seperti Jonosi, Aspak, kemudian SIM-RS, Sikdas, SIM Klinik, IKS, SPGDT, dan Elogis, kemudian personal health record dan lain sebagainya. Itu adalah beberapa dari produk kami yang berfungsi untuk membantu klien kami dalam memecahkan masalah di kesehariannya terkait di sistem informasi kesehatan. Beberapa seperti produk Simpus yang kita namakan dengan nama Smart Health itu, kita sejak untuk merespon di pandemik COVID ini, kita membuat sebuah ide atau untuk membuat sebuah sistem yang mendukung untuk merespon COVID ini, mulai dari perubahan dari teknologi menjadi cloud, kemudian processing data untuk vaksinasi, kemudian mengotomatisasi modul-modul untuk meminimalisir dari kontak antara tenaga kesehatan dengan pasien atau physical distancing. Kemudian untuk memenuhi teknologi yang terkini, aplikasi juga kita buat menjadi portable, yang mana semua sistem informasi terkait seperti personal health record tadi itu kita buat ada di satu genggaman melalui gadget pasien tersebut. Kemudian dari isu atau tantangan yang kita hadapi dari belasan tahun ini, yang pertama adalah dari keamanan data itu sendiri, dari keamanan data dari kemudian data sharing kesehatan itu baik antar provider, baik dari misalnya antar dinas kesehatan dengan dinas kesehatan kabupaten satu dengan dinas kabupaten lainnya sampai dengan Kementerian Kesehatan. Nah, itu adalah beberapa isu yang sering kita hadapi selama dalam pengembangan sistem informasi kesehatan. Kemudian tantangan yang sampai saat ini yang masih kita hadapi adalah dari regulasi atau hukum yang berlaku di Indonesia pada khususnya. Kemudian ada etik, kemudian tadi privasi data tadi, kemudian organisasi dan SDM, dan tak kalah penting adalah dari infrastruktur tadi. Jadi kita di Indonesia sebagai negara yang masih berkembang itu tadi sempat dari Kulon Progo atau mana itu menyampaikan adalah kita masih membutuhkan infrastruktur yang lebih bagus untuk mengimplementasikan aplikasi yang dikembangkan untuk membantu para tenaga kesehatan untuk melakukan dalam kegiatan seharinya untuk melayani pasien. Ya, mungkin nanti bisa kunjungi website kami atau Instagram kami www.siswamedika.com. Kemudian Instagram kami juga di Siswa Medika. Mungkin itu sedikit dari saya yang saya sampaikan. Terima kasih atas waktunya. Semoga bermanfaat.
Iya. Yeah, thank you, Pak Hari. So, Siswa Medika has been also involved on developing the electronic medical record at Puskesmas in Sleman as well as in surrounding. Okay, so I think there has been many examples of the digital applications that aim also to respond to the pandemic and also to facilitate the healthcare services during the pandemic during the pandemic, either in the primary health center as well as in the hospital. And I think, we'll since that we have limited time, so now we'll then continue the sessions. We'll invite Dr. Puraf Shaf to give a comments or feedback. Dr. Puraf.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah.
I think I've got Dr. Rishikesh Venkatraman from IIIT Sri City, who is going to speak on my behalf.
Yeah. Your microphone is still still muted.
Rishi, we couldn't hear you. I think we're waiting for Rishi to sort out the big issue. Maybe Purab or Ramana can step in to introduce a little bit of context and
Yes,
particularly curriculum development activity, which is a project with Indonesia is about as well.
Yes, I can give you a brief context on this project. So it's a British Council project, which is based again on the same theme, ongoing global partnership. And what we've tried to propose in this case is a joint curriculum development alongside industry. So we are bringing in industry to give us real-time insights into what they want as their expectation out of future engineers in new jobs. And therefore, the idea is that we take their feedback on board and we propose the changes in the curriculum to get into the alignment of what the expectations of the industry are, for especially for the electronics and communication engineering BTech students. So as part of this project, what we are proposing is two things. One is BTech specialization in cyber physical system CPS, and the other one in wireless communications. And on top of that, we are also proposing a new master's program, which will have embedding of more recent technologies like digital twins and so on.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened. I just turned on my Zoom and turned on. Maybe I can just quickly go through the slides. Can you see my slides?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Juan, Dr. Ramona, and everybody. Thanks. So we have this British Council project with Middlesex University on joint curriculum development, as Dr. Purab mentioned. So the idea is to increase the employability of the students through the Industry 4.0. We want to develop some specialization programs for undergraduate and both postgraduate students. And we have been looking at two kind of specialization. One is cyber physical system and next generation wireless technologies for the bachelor students, and also looking at offering such specialized programs for PG students. So I'll go through how it is related to digital twin. So the mode so far we have developed is that in the 4-year bachelor's program, once they complete 2 years, they would be actually doing 3 hands-on courses in the 5th, 6th, and 7th semester, and 1 industry project, and before that an industry-oriented seminar courses. And in all the 3 courses, they would be actually being trained with hands-on experience. The idea is that the student should be able to hit the ground from day one after the industry project when they join the industries. So, so the thought process is that we ran a course called Digital Twin, Concepts and Applications last year, which was developed after the interactions with the Middlesex University, which was basically an outcome of one of the outcomes of our earlier project on the digital twin for Industry 4.0. So now taking forward of that, now we want to launch a complete specialization program called Cyber Physical Systems, where the first level of course will be IoT or Industrial IoT. The second level of course will be Intelligent and Autonomous Systems, with focusing more on data analytics and ML machine learning path. And the third course, of course, is the digital twin, where now we would actually also bring in a lot more concepts onto the applications part. The other thing that we are looking at, which also with Middlesex University, is the looking at the wireless technologies, because when we bring in digital twin, there will be a lot of requirement for connected environment. So the first level course is the basic course. We look at wireless communication, and then we will probably look into concepts of advanced wireless communication, and then how this would be covered in the 5G, beyond 5G and 6G concepts and applications. So one of the thought process that we are looking at is that we will not just start it as one of the mill industry program, specialization programs, but look at actually and what the industry wants. The industry, of course, what we gathered is that we conducted a workshop in Bangalore on 11th May. Dr. Purav Shah was there physically, and also a couple of people from UK had joined in online mode. Industry inputs are very much required because they are the backbone for the employability. At the same time, the requirement varies with industries. But one thing that we found out is that they look at strong basics from the students and yet very good programming skills. And one of the kind of one-line summary, if I can make out, is that they feel that today, in today's demand, the time to market is shrinking. So we need to prepare the students much well and in advance, both in terms of time and in terms of scale, so that they can be there ready for the industry. The other thing they mention is that we cannot come to you. You have to come to us, both physically and metaphorically as well. So in fact, one of the physical aspects is, okay, we are actually 300 kilometers away from the so-called technology capital of India, Bangalore. So in fact, we moved to Bangalore to conduct this workshop. So we had different industries like ABB, AMD, IBM, MathWorks, and Intel from Indian side, and of course Siemens from the connected curricula from the UK side as well, apart from IIIT, Sri City, and Middlesex. So this is an ongoing project. So we are looking at fine-tuning each courses more on the two courses on intelligent and autonomous systems and the digital twin. So we'll end up this presentation with the tentative schedule, where the three courses would be such that the first course would be offered mainly by the academia with multiple guest lectures from the industry. The second course, where there would be industry guys looking at probably teaching 1 or 2 modules of a course, maybe at 70-30 or an 80-20 ratio. Whereas the third course would probably have industry and academia offering these courses together, maybe 50-50 or 60-40. So this is more at a tentative level. So we are looking at developing these programs based on our experience on digital twin and overall cyber physical systems and industry 4.0. So thank you. If you have any queries, please feel free to email us at Dr. Purav Shah's email ID or my email ID. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hirsrikas and also Dr. Purav. I think it's really very interesting program. So, well, next, since that we have a time limit, and we'll continue with the next session. Dr. Professor Huan, would you like to give a feedback on what we have been done so far during this workshop?
Thank you, Lutfan, and thank you, speakers. And yeah, it was very helpful to listen to our stakeholder from the health center and sharing with us the difficulty, the challenges, and the thing that they have done during the pandemic. And I think that would be the good inputs for our project and going on, both in terms of if you want to go down research direction and also to develop the curriculum, because one of the things we wanted to do is that to develop the next generation of workforce to prepare for the future pandemic events. So what we could have done, and again, that how we could have done differently, and yeah, so that lesson learned for the future. But also we would like to work with also stakeholders, and then how we can see together with our partner, for example, like TCS, how we can maybe apply different modeling to the using the data from Indonesia, for example. But that's one of the things is the research-wise, the modeling thing. But at the same time, as I said, that there are some practical challenges we just listen to our stakeholder, and that we need to take on board as well in this project. How we can integrate that into our curriculum development, that maybe our project team need to sit together, and hopefully we can also meet again, whether online or in person, with our partner from health centers, and then we discuss through these things. So it is very first workshop for us to kickstart, to identify the challenges, and also to open for us to start working on some of the direction to develop the curriculum in the next phase of the project. Very helpful today, and yeah, thank you everyone, and back to you, Lutfan, if we maybe sum up any other idea from the side.
This is actually the first workshop that we get together, and of course that we will follow up by other meeting, and it might be also some of the site visit. And it is actually very important that we will start this curriculum development, and if this then ready, will be tested for our master program. Our master program is actually very strategic, since that they already mostly working in the health institution. So this will be very linked also with the situations on the field. And this is what we are planning to do at the beginning, that later on will be scaled up also to our networks, such as the associations of the health informatics, higher educations for health informatics, and also the many community of practice. And I think we'll based on our experience get together and working together with various stakeholders. It will be also feasible to do it in the long term. I think that's all so far, and we plan to meet again after this first workshop.
Absolutely, and from the UK side, we'd like to thank you, all the stakeholders, all the partners from Indonesia and from India, for this. I know that we already shoot over time this one, but maybe just we can finish now. But just before we go, let's sure that this is just beginning for us, and now hopefully that we can meet in person soon for the project. We can discuss, we can see things together and come up with some of the good curriculum idea development, and especially the staff exchange, how we can get together and then jointly teach a program or develop a programs. All this kind of thing, taking into account the inputs from our stakeholder, our partner. I think that is looking good for the project. So one more time, thank you.
Thank you. And to close the sessions, Yodi is here also. Please, Yodi.
Hi. Okay. So good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I joined a bit late because of an urgent agenda. But from what I managed to follow, it seems the discussion went really, really well. Also, what I heard from Juan just now. So this again was the first initial workshop, just to have a preliminary discussions within our team, our partners, and on stakeholders on the digital twin curriculum. And it's clear that we've gathered some really useful inputs, including, as Juan mentioned, the challenges, which is also important for us to note. And all of this will really help us to proceed with the curriculum development. And of course, this will entail further rounds of activities, of discussions in the coming months. So we really hope everyone would still be with us in this exciting journey, as we really, really need your inputs throughout the process to ensure that the curriculum we develop can be really useful. So that's the journey ahead. But for now, on behalf of our team, I would like to thank everyone here, colleagues from Indonesia, from India, from UK, for your active contributions. And we're really looking forward to continue this journey with you. Thank you again, and see you in the next discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So then, Juan, please.
No, I think that's it. Thank you. Glad to see Jody, you can join us. And if you want to get everyone together on the screen, turn on camera to take a photo, Halifa, just for to show that we did have the workshop today. Okay.
Ya, thank you Huan. Bapak Ibu, silakan apabila Bapak Ibu dapat menyalakan kamera, mungkin kami bisa berfoto sebentar. Okay, I will take the picture. 1, 2, 3. Ya, satu kali lagi Bapak Ibu untuk layar yang kedua. Ya, once more. 1, 2, 3. Ya, thank you Huan, thank you Pak Lutfan. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu.
Right, thank you. So
Yeah, thank you.
see you next time,
Okay.
everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Terima kasih Bapak Ibu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Terima kasih Ibu Bapak semua.
Live.